What up, though? It's Lady Vet here with the review for BMF Season 3, Episode 3, Sanctuary. Generally, we think of sanctuary as a place of refuge or a safe place. Anything but makes up this episode. The closest Meech got to a sanctuary is his memory of yesterdays when he and Papa Charles made music together. Neither one of them lost their love for music. Life just took them in different directions. For example, the young man Meech, desperately trying to better the lives of his family and others, arrives home to find out that he was robbed. Ironically, the jealous Stacks appeared to be taken over by the robbers who got away with Meech's bags. With all the chaos surrounding Meech, he wanted some answers, so he left Stacks for the Platinum Palace, where he saw Angel sashay through the crowd. When Meech called her out on everything that happened to him, she simply said that she was sorry for what happened to him, but time is money. Then Greenie came to her asking if everything is okay. Speaking of money, Greenie asked Meech about money to clean, but Meech told him that he had a little setback. Then Meech changed the subject to Jack the Rapper. Back in Detroit, Terry hears what Henrietta's been up to, but before he can plan moving forward, Markeisha called to tell Terry that she loves him, her kids are at her parents', and she isn't wearing any panties. I thought that Terry, the tender deed Terry, would drop everything and go running to her, but instead, he talked about his son having things to do and moving into an apartment. Then he hung up. Terry clapped back, Markeisha, so girl, put your panties back on. The underage Tina has joined the crew at Duffy's house, talking about Claude, Remy's right-hand man, draped in designers since Meech's crib was hit. Meech was just listening to all the chatter when none other than Stacks stepped in wanting to sing a Somebody Done Me Wrong song. Duffy asked him, "What's up?" and pointed out that he was the one caught up. Stacks, no longer wearing Ty's chain, I might add, told them that he'd been told Meech about Remy killing Ty, and now he's upset that they wanted to Rodney King him. With Stacks, you just never know. In the middle of the chaos, Stacks wants to know what Meech want to do. He didn't like that Meech said they would ride for Ty when the time was right. On to more pressing business, Meech told the crew that he pawned his Rolexes to keep building the family and to make sure that everyone eats. So next up is Jack the Rapper, and to get more people riding with them.
Damn. Good looks, Meech.
Yeah, I take care of my people. And I just talk like a plug. We back in regular rotation, which gonna make up for the losses in no time. We're gonna build more pipelines in A, but we need more manpower.
You come in here acting like Moses, but me and mine, we ain't wandering around the desert with your ass no more.
Well, you gonna die first without me there, partner.
You'll see, nigga.
You ain't never put shit for us.
Oh, go ahead on, Shawty. No. All right, Meech.
We already know that good people are hard to find. It's no different in Detroit at the restaurant when even Terry's inspirational words fell on deaf ears. They reminded Terry that they noticed the way Meech moved was more solid than the ideas in Terry's head. They bounced on Terry because their loyalty is to Meech, and they believe that Terry is a penny pitcher. Terry told his crew that they are right, that he is not his brother, and he is moving the way that he wants to move. Thus, the downfall begins of BMF. Now, after some walked on Terry, he asked, "What's up with the rest?" Lop wanted to roll with T, but he also wanted to know why was he waiting on product like it's his kidney. Lop told T that they have other options, so deuces. Last but least, Diz was on the way out when T paused him to remind him that he put him on and wanted him to remember that. In his time of need, he needed this, so Diz stayed. Henry also got some inspirationals from her cousin, who reminded her that he is with her in spite of what her pops say or think. Twan said that BMF may have soldiers, but they're dropping like dominoes, and with time, the board will clear for Henry's regime. In walks Bryant, reporting for work, but challenged by Twan until Henry steps in. Bryant made it clear that he's there for his son's protection, and that's all. Bryant wanted to know, what did Henry need him to do? Henry put him on escort duties. To Henry's delight, Bryant added value by telling Henry about a vehicle that cops don't bother, an ambulance. Staggs had gone. Charles now touched down in Atlanta. First stop was Meech. Charles asked about the house that Meech wanted to buy, how he wanted him to look it over and check out the structure. Meech needed Charles, so he began to show him the royal treatment. Charles was impressed with Duffy's studio, his acoustics, and the overall layout of his place. Meech was happy that his pops was happy because he had a major role for Charles to play. Back at Lucille's new Cornerstone Church, Lucille was doing her part to help raise funds for her church building. Estelle didn't know what she was doing, but she was good company for Lucille, and she inspired her to see if she and Maurice had a connection, since Charles had gone to Atlanta. Terry and Sterl discussed the strategy to keep their customers from Henrietta, but they didn't have a lot of time to execute a good plan. Terry learned that Henrietta is using an ambulance to move her weight, so Terry and his crew set a goal to catch Henry, wanted to catch her riding dirty. Assigned this goal to Hoop and Cuts. Not a good team, because Cuts is under surveillance by Jen and Kobe. When he moves, they move. Charles was admiring Meech's home and telling Meech that it's the kind of house that he and Lucille dreamed about. But when the time came for Meech to sign the papers, he asked for the realtor to give him a moment to tell Charles that he needs him because his income is not legitimate. Charles admitted that he doesn't agree with Meech's line of work, but he does admire his hustle and wants to help his son, at least until he saw the financial statements and saw how Meech stretched the information. So much so, Charles thought to sleep on the idea. Henry's ambulance is on the way to the drop with Bryant riding shotgun and demanding quietness from Twan. When their truck was hit, ambushed by Hoop and Cuts. Surprises for everyone. Hoop IDs Bryant, the cop riding dirty. Cuts is followed by Jen and Kobe, who joins the party. Jen is shot, and while down, she's looking at Bryant put a final bullet in Twan, his boss's cousin. Bryant continued riding dirty, leaving Jen behind. Then he rushed to Henry's to present his story of what happened. Henry tried to understand, but she had a hard time dealing with what her father sent her to work with. To make her angrier, she asked for Twan to find out what really happened. Bryant bears the bad news that Twan is taking up permanent residence in hell. Henry is like, what? That was my blood.
Yo, that was my fucking blood, man.
Sorry for your loss. The BMF knew when, where, and what to look for. So if you're looking for a place to channel that anger,
Tell me everything.
Child Protective Services paid a visit to check on Terry Jr. CPS finds Terry and LaWanda caring for their son when CPS tells them that they got a call about the well-being of the child and the safety of his environment, as if Terry needed more chaos in his life. The investigator went in on Terry and LaWanda's parenting and told them that in 30 days they would be privy to the findings when the case goes to the judge. LaWanda was livid and blamed Markeisha. Terry told her that he would fix it. He didn't think that Markeisha would do this, but he would find out. Meech and his crew embarked upon the Jack the Rapper event in Atlanta, one of the biggest urban radio music conventions in the country. Meech was destined to mingle with the who's who's of the hustle game and expand what would later become the largest drug network in the country. We're talking gospel, funk, jazz, R&B, known as a family affair for black music. Then hip-hop exploded on the scene and dominated the event. Thus we got Jack the Rapper, changing the event to a different style of family and a different cultural style. Just as Meech and Duffy was getting a taste of the event, so was Charles. And because Meech knew that a lot had changed, he wanted his pops out of there. But Charles was not having it, so he told Meech to please let him live. Terry went to see Markeisha about the CPS allegations. Markeisha denied any dealings with going against another mom. She told Terry that she knows what that can do to a family. Tender D. Terry weakens at the presence of Markeisha and apologized for asking her if she called CPS. He told her that he's in a bad headspace, he doesn't want his family destroyed, and Markeisha consoled T. Meech and Duffy moved around Jack the Rapper looking at the players play, getting an understanding of how the rappers maneuvered to get radio airplay and expand. Meech decided to use the same networking strategy to expand his empire, consisting of treating people right, knowing that they would remember. Meech was approached about Greenie putting the word out that Meech was to thank for comping their party favors. Meech told him that he was just spreading love, so they talked about pipeline expansions into St. Louis. Meech told them that he would visit the Lou before making business decisions, and they agreed. Lucille took Estelle's words to heart. She spent time with Dr. Maurice, and they took a trip down memory lane. Dr. Maurice also gave Lucille a donation for her church after hearing about her bake sale. Lucille was speechless, then began to stutter until Maurice told her that his biggest regret was letting her walk out of his life, and he only wanted to be a blessing in some small way. Charles was chilling when a random man struck up conversation about reading and intelligence. They shared a few laughs. Then the man introduced himself as Wesley Solomon from Colonial Records. Wesley asked Charles his name and now knows that he is Meech's father, and told Charles that maybe here's the breakthrough that he's looking for. Meech was still meeting and greeting when he shared a smoke with Tupac. They noticed Luke's Miami folk looking around. Tupac talked about rolling deep and having family everywhere he goes. Meech mentioned that he thought hip-hop heads didn't beef. Pac told Meech that it's all the same. The drugs and the music hustle makes it different. Rappers telling stories that used to get them locked up, now getting paid to do it. Hoop hurries to T to unload the more recent events and to tell him that Cuts got pinched. Terry was shook that nothing went according to plans, that somehow the cops got involved, meaning that they must have been tailed. Then Hoop told Terry that Bryant was on the scene flying Henry's flag. Terry's got 99 problems, and a boss is definitely one of them. Chaos traveled fast from Detroit to Meech in Atlanta. Charles ran into Meech to tell him about meeting Solomon, who was close behind. Charles was so excited and totally clueless that he was rubbing noses with Meech's enemy, Glock. While Charles carried on, about what he learned from Solomon, Tina told Meech that Solomon was wearing a certain pendant that represented Miami killers. Meech quickly wanted his pops out of there, so he tried to send Charles away, but Charles insisted on staying. Solomon told Charles that he should do the right thing and listen to his son. Now Meech and Glock had come face to face. Meech told his crew to get his pops out, but Charles was standing tall with Meech.
Yo, hold up. This old ooga booga motherfucker is Glock?
Typical American Negro. Half a decade late and $1 short. Yet you still think you deserve to have a free pass in my city? Who bet that? Who that guy?
Yo, I thought security was beefed up.
Well, listen to me, it's on me. It's back in the figure. I own security. Just like I own the pimp who cleans your money.
Glock hurried out, and so it was, another Meech moment for a demo. Like father, like son, Charles got into the melee too. Well, I guess Terry checked to see if Markeisha was wearing panties after all. Markeisha joined Terry at his apartment. She even brought a housewarming gift. They laughed and Tender D melted. That was until Terry got a knock on his door and Mama Lucille came inside telling Markeisha that she wanted to speak to her son. Lucille told Terry that LaWanda's mom told her what's happening with the CPS. Lucille told Terry that she needed him to get his head out of the cougar's behind and take the matter seriously. Terry explained that he had been taking measures so that CPS can see that Terry Jr. has a nice home. The whole thing reminded Lucille of her experience in foster care and how CPS has a record of ruining black families. After the Jack the Rapper event, Meech and Charles discussed everything on the way home. Again, Meech pleaded for Charles to sign for his new
I'm
home.
the first human who can actually control their destiny. You know how bad I want that. And how heavy that weight is. Because when you were my age, you felt the same too. Pops, I need you to sign that paper for me. Please.
Thanks to Pops, Meech is a proud homeowner. Henry tried to get her freak going, but it was hard for her to concentrate because Tyson was busy snorting and coughing, trying to drown his sorrows after Twan's death. To help Tyson out, Henry shared her girl, while vowing to make things right with everyone responsible for Twan's death. Greenie was belittling Angel and making her repeat that she's nothing without him. Greenie was tired of the ballers and rappers giving Angel a sense of being better than he wanted her to know. Angel was acting as if Greenie was her puppet master. He reminded her of not forgetting her place. Until Meech and Duffy showed up and snatched Greenie out of his car. As Meech stomped Greenie, he told him that he knows he set him up and thought that he wouldn't find out. Angel yelled for Meech to stop, but Meech was so busy getting at Greenie. Even when Meech stopped, Duffy wasn't satisfied yet. They left Greenie on the ground screaming, and Meech took Angel with him. Charles came home to Lucille, excited about his trip to Atlanta, but noticed that Lucille was sad. Lucille was still upset about the possibility of CPS taking Terry Jr. away. Lucille forgot when Charles was coming back from having to relive her own traumatic experiences. She was drained, so she went to bed. Charles had no immediate answers, so he grabbed a photo of he and Meech to put on the table when he saw the church donation check from Dr. Maurice. Charles realized that Lucille may be further away from him than he thought. Bryant went to visit Kevin and noticed Kevin walking slow, holding his side. Bryant told Kevin that he was working to get him out. Kevin appeared angry and despondent, offering no conversation or eye contact with his dad. At the end of a very busy day, Meech brought Angel home, but not without hearing about Greenie. He has gotten in Angel's head, making her believe that she is nothing without him. Meech continues to pour positive energy into Angel while she tells him that Greenie protects and provides for her. Meech will not convince her overnight, but since getting his new house, he attempted to convince her that she is safe with him. Bryant wasn't doing so well after seeing Kevin, so he's got nothing for Terry, who's waiting for him outside. Terry asked about Kev, then told Bryant that he must be desperate to be working with Henrietta. So Terry offered Bryant a job with BMF, both working together to solve their problems. But Bryant told him that they are his problem. Bryant told him that he and Meech should be inside, not his son. Terry taunted him by saying that they are free and the world is his oyster. Bryant chose not to work with BMF and left Terry standing there, surrounded by poor decisions and his enemies, with no sanctuary in sight. Don't forget to thank a veteran for their sacrifice. Subscribe to the channel and share your thoughts. Until the next time, guys.